Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And let's get ready for hour number 2, baby.
Yes, sir.
Of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas, streaming live on the Odyssey app, which I'm sure all of our guests have downloaded and
It's free.
listen to our show every time it's on and over again.
Free 99.
That's what you got to do.
Click that button.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Go to your app store, click on Odyssey, AUDACY, download the app, and of course, subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and X and all those cool places, Instagram, and just be a Hokamaniac.
Or like I say all the time, drop that comment, press that like, drop that share, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Simple.
Wow, you rhymed, Jose Volante.
I've been saying that for a few years now, so it kind of got stuck to me.
Fair enough. It's not bad.
Hey,
not
thank
bad.
You, thank you.
Well, I decided, and I'm going to say this real quick.
Okay.
Because since I started doing the show, and then, as we went on, we started getting around and meeting some great people. Mm-hmm. And we've been very fortunate on the show to get to involve some unbelievable people in this industry. And, I'm fortunate that we've gotten to, meet some of just, great performers, journalists, people that do it all in this game. And we have days like this where we're coming off the Royal Rumble. And I thought, it'd be fun to have a little group discussion about everything that happened. Plus, unfortunately, and fortunately, we got some bonus topics this week, too. Some, like I said, some good, some bad. Some, wish we didn't have to. But first off, I want to bring in one of the great guys in pro wrestling media who I thoroughly enjoy reading his work, and he gives me way more credit than I think I deserve. Thrilled to have on from WrestleZone, Matt Black. Let's get him on the show. If you want to add him while you're clapping there, that would be helpful. Let's get Matt Black on.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, Matt? Good to see you, buddy. What's going on, man?
Oh, we're coming off the Rumble. We're on the road to WrestleMania. Let's go.
Yes, we are. Step 1 is taken. So we've got Matt Black on the show. Very happy to have him on. And our other panelist for the day, we want to get this guy on. And Jose is drooling at this. I don't know what's coming. I'm just going to take it. Just take it. I'm going to duck.
Okay. So you want me to do the intro first?
Yeah.
So joining us live from somewhere in the United States, even though he's in his office, standing at 5 feet 6 inches tall the last time I checked, even though he's sitting down right now, he is known as Phil Stamper, but also the El Único, El Presidente of Wrestling. Joining us live here on the Mark Hoke Show. Welcome, Phil.
Hey, everybody. So first when you said I was 5'6", I had to straighten up and sit up in my And why can't I be a Presidente of Lucha?
That's what I was going to say, Lucha, and I thought about it. I was like, I should have said that, but yeah.
I'm okay. It's all good.
There we go. Okay. Welcome back, my man. It's a pleasure to talk to you again.
Good to see you as well.
Oh.
And Mr. Mark.
Yeah.
Mr. Mark.
Uh-oh, Mr. Mark.
Yeah. What did I do?
Because I was here, I was ready to go before the commercial break, and I heard the little and now he's here at the right time. Wait a minute. You told me 8 a.m. I was ready to go at 8 a.m.
I've got 9 a.m. I looked on my Twitter. God. I looked. I swear to God.
That was funny. We're in the studio sitting here, and we're like, wait a minute. He's already there. What's going on here?
It's all good. Well, very happy to have both of you gentlemen on the show. And you know what? I'm just gonna get this bad stuff out of the way. I want to get it done because I want to have fun the rest of the show. Yeah. That's what I did when I coached. I was like, let's get the negatives out of the way and let's talk about the positives first. So, Matt, let me start with you on this stuff with Vince McMahon. It was funny
right away. He's like, oh man.
And it's funny, Phil. When Phil and I were talking last night, we texted and we said we're probably going to be using the word allegedly a lot. But this lawsuit that came through about Vince McMahon that has forced him to resign from the board of TKO just nearly rocked the Royal Rumble. Devastating charges against Vince McMahon, and enough to get him to leave TKO. Matt, what's the latest that you've heard? Any new news about this and your thoughts on this? Because, man, I read that complaint, and I can't even talk about it on the radio. It's that bad.
No, I'm glad you did, because apparently Triple H didn't.
Yeah.
No.
That's not great. And I think it's really bad that Cody gave a better answer during the media scrum last night than Triple H did. It's a messy situation. The big thing coming out of it is what sources are saying is that Endeavor and TKO want to basically rid the company of anybody that was closely associated with Vince McMahon during his regime and basically start fresh. And I don't know what that means, but I would imagine people like Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes probably on their way out the door, because they've been Vince's right-hand man for the last several decades. And I can't imagine that they didn't know that this kind of stuff was going on. So they're going to be collateral damage. I don't know what's going to happen to Triple H either. I don't like his answers last night. And by his answers last night, I'm kind of worried that he knew more than people assumed, and that's why he chose to respond the way he responded last night. WWE's prospering under Triple H right now, and I don't know what that company looks like with a new creative regime without Triple H in charge. So it's a shaky situation right now, man. I don't like any of it. I love Slim Jim though, because Slim Jim got Vince McMahon out of that company. So thank you, Slim Jim. We all owe you a debt of gratitude.
Yeah, and just to give a little more clarification, one of the women that Vince had sexually harassed and allegedly it accused her also of trafficking her, and it's bad stuff. The filed suit, there was an NDA, but this has gone way past it now. And last night in the press conference after the Royal Rumble, Triple H said he hadn't even read the lawsuit.
BS.
And you have to wonder how many people knew about this, because in the suit, it even said that images were shown to crew members and so on. And now you kind of wonder if this was the reason that Kevin Dunn left. And I mean, this is absolutely devastating. And, one thing that I had even tweeted out was, how much did, Stephanie know about this? How much would Triple H know? And Phil, I mean, this is going to run pretty deep in WWE.
Yeah. And, as I was reading through too, because the lawsuit definitely does state there were 4 members of the corporate side of WWE who knew from the lawsuit perspective, and that there was one superstar who was also unnamed but mentioned. And so the context of what you just said, he showed these pictures to the tech. Well, that's what he was saying to her. But did he give the context of, this is somebody who works for the company in the office side in Stanford? She's not on the road. So I don't know, the context of hey, here's this image and who this person is, how well did they know? Because from some people who I've known who've worked not even on the wrestling side, but on the crew side, they didn't have connections to the office because they were on the road and they weren't supposed to be connected to talent. So there were some things that are very segmented in certain respects. So on that side, I don't know if they knew. And I'm wondering if that's why they weren't specifically mentioned even anonymously in the lawsuit, because the suit definitely does call out people, but not by name. And so I'm curious of sort of then what happens next. And even with the lawsuit naming, I think what is the terminology? WWE corporate employee number 1.
Yeah.
And things like that. Is it an effort to try to get them to turn to become witnesses and providing information, copies of text messages that kind of thing, and that's why they're anonymous at this point? Or is it that, well, we'll hold this, and then, you could also be included later down the road? I don't know enough on that side of things of how could it go. And it's Marie, you are not wrong. It is vile.
It is.
It is vile.
It's nasty. It's disgusting. It's just, it's bad. I asked Mark this. I want to ask you guys real quick, Matt and Phil, real quick, does this hurt the brand? And if so, how much does it? Or does the brand continue to strive?
Well, I think it would have hurt the brand a lot more had they not reacted as quickly as they did. But I also believe they only reacted as quickly as they did because they lost the Slim Jim sponsor before the Royal Rumble. And that's one of their biggest sponsors that they have. And it sponsored an entire match last night. Slim Jim was plastered everywhere. They would have lost all of that had they not taken action and forced Vince out. And I know Vince saying he's resigned or whatever, but there had to have been definite pressure on him from TKO and Ari Emanuel and all them to you got to go, dude. You got to get out of here. So I think the longer he would have stayed on, the more damage it would have done to the brand. I think they had an opportunity last night with Triple H to calm the storm a bit. If he would have had a statement prepared or just honestly, that's how he should have handled the conference. He came out and he was rambling about numbers and all that stuff. Instead of doing all that, the first thing he should have said is he should have had a prepared statement about the Vince McMahon situation and ended it with, we're under legality right now. This is not just a suit against Vince. This is a suit against WWE. I'm not at liberty to discuss this lawsuit right now. So if we can please keep our questions towards the Royal Rumble and other WWE, related products, that would be great. But he didn't do any of that, and he opened himself up to get 3 different questions in a row that he handled horribly. There's no other word to use. He handled it horribly. And I know a lot of people love to dunk on Tony Khan and some of the answers that he gives in his press conferences, but Triple H made Tony Khan look like a savant last night with how he answered those questions. It was really, really embarrassing for Triple H and WWE.
Phil, what do you think?
So what I was trying to catch up on, because I missed the media scrums. I missed sort of the initial. I did see some of the reaction of he should have said more, he should have done more, he should have addressed it, didn't address. I saw that kind of statement. I saw I even just read a full transcript on what Cody Rhodes said, and that felt like that was more articulate of a response. I'm without knowing, right? There's part of me that is, what is known by other people, what will come out next. Does this it was thought even before when the previous allegations came out that more information, more things were going to come. And then, so here you have Vince who leaves and then comes back 6 months later and nothing else had come. And now we have this. So is this another opportunity for, I shouldn't say opportunity, but is this going to be what starts the ball rolling on other things now coming to light? And like you said, who knew what and when?
Well, here lies the stupidity and the hubris of Vince McMahon, because the reason why this lawsuit came out like it did was because he stopped paying her the money that he agreed to pay her for the NDA.
Ugh.
He was supposed to pay her $3 million, and he stopped paying after $1 million. So none of this would have happened if the old man would have just paid the money that he agreed to pay when he signed her to an NDA to begin with.
Wow,
so
that's unreal.
This is on him.
Yeah, and what I'm going to be very curious to see in the future, and I want to kind of wrap this up so we can have some fun and talk about the actual wrestling, is I'm going to be very interested to see what Stephanie might have to say about this, what Shane's going to have to say about this, and what previous employees and wrestlers are going to have to say about this that have worked for Vince, because I can imagine there's a lot of people that, because of the control that Vince had over the industry, especially after the fall of WCW, that just were like, if I say one thing, I'm going to get blackballed. I'm going to be out of this industry and I'm done. Now that he's out, are the floodgates going to open? This could be absolutely fascinating to see what's going to take place here over the next year or two.
And fascinating, not in a great way. Just like, ugh.
And I think it started yesterday with Ronda Rousey's tweet.
Yeah.
I think that was the first tweet of many that we're going to see coming out over the next several weeks. That people aren't afraid to speak anymore. Mm-hmm. People are going to speak up, and they're going to be loud, and it's not going to look good on Vince McMahon or the company. As far as Stephanie goes, you have to feel like she knew something, because if you look at the timeline of events of the last couple of years, she stayed completely out of Vince's way in everything that she did. Vince resigned, she came back to the company. Vince forced his way back in, she left the company again. She wanted nothing to do with WWE while Vince was in charge in steering that ship. So, to me, Stephanie knew and wanted out. She didn't want anything to do with that. She didn't want to be tangled up in it. And honestly, I don't freaking blame her. She looks like a genius right now. If you look back on everything that's occurred and you look back on the decisions that she made, she was an absolute genius to do what she did.
Yeah, and same with Shane, too. You know, I mean, he got out of there way before that. And I've heard stories coming out that he was in boardroom meetings and, you know, screaming up and down, this has to stop years ago. So this is going to be, oh, boy,
it's messy. It's so messy.
Right. And you know, wrestling is that world that lives in disbelief, right? Like, or the want to believe even. Like, so what happened? Did this happen? Every rumor, every storyline, creative decision, every corporate move is now going to be looked back retrospectively and gone, how was this impacted by this? And so the thought of, oh, it's going to be a clean slate. Well, if you talk clean slate, does that mean an entire McMahon-less timeline? Like that everything is now just flipped over to a different kind of thing? I'm kind of wondering what Marcho just said. How many other NDAs are floating out there? Yeah. Similar situations have happened, but you know, what similar situations may be existing out there as well? You know, it's bad. Gonna get crazy. It's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get crazy. Like this is bad. I think because I think there's gonna be both this rollout of, you know, total speculation. I mean, we're gonna do it a little bit right now. There's gonna be this rollout of people saying, "Hey, this happened to me," and then you're probably gonna get some added stories that did this happen? You know, so I think you're gonna get this big mix of all three things, and it's just going to make it so much more convoluted. And if you read through this lawsuit, it's already messy. Like it's a hot mess. The things that people are like talking about that have, you know, come through and on other posts or on news outlets, that's the tip of the iceberg, because there's things like Mark said that you can't say on the radio that were stated in this lawsuit. So,
yeah, it's a lot of triggering stuff. Like, you don't want to go to social media and talk about this stuff. The lawsuit literally gets, as you continue to read it, you're like, it can't get any worse than this, and then it gets worse. It's awful. And just I didn't, like, I talked to you, Mark, before we got on this show over the weekend. I'm like, I really don't want to talk about the Vince stuff because the words I have for Vince McMahon really can't be used on radio, and I'm trying really hard.
You're awesome,
to maintain my language now, but it's a bad situation, man.
And I appreciate it, Matt. You know, you're usually the happiest guy on Twitter. So
I try to be. I try to be positive, but sometimes you just can't be, and this is one of those times.
Yeah, I think I have to do a live video podcast with Matt and just go uncensored, man, because there's a lot to be said the right way. We can't use these words right now. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we'll do it on your show, Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then I get to go off too. Because I got to be really good. I'm an employee here, so if I do it, it's really bad. Yeah, and just real quick, just some comments in the chat box before we go to break. Gamer Bear says the great guy is here. I'm not sure which great guy that is, but it could be Phil and Matt. Let's see. Marie Burney saying, I haven't read it, but heard about it, and it's disgusting. You got it. Let's see. It's
I'm curious about how many NDAs he had women sign over the years who he's actually paid. Mark Cho, I forgot. So people can see the comments on the videos, but we also have to mention them over the radio. Jeez, thanks, man.
Yeah,
and that could be like what Mark says. It could be a gigantic problem. If there's multiple NDAs out there and he decided to stop paying everybody, and they all decide to start coming forward, dude's toast.
It's over.
Boy.
And I know he says he wants to vigorously defend himself, but there's no way he's letting this go to Discovery.
There's a very
There's
interesting.
no way.
He's paying off a lot of people.
It's interesting is this lawsuit could have just been, hey, I had an NDA. Part of the agreement was a financial arrangement. He didn't follow through on the financial arrangement. Done. That's not, and that could have been enough to lift then the NDA, which could have then opened up more things for disclosure. That's not where they're going. They're like, okay, we're gonna lead with all of it and go, because of all of this, the NDA should be valid. It's like, oh, okay, interesting.
Well, at least WWE got that $5 billion from Netflix, so they'll have a little extra cash to sit around to take care of this. But let's take a break, guys. And when we come back, let's talk about the Royal Rumble, shall we?
Let's do it.
I think that's a great idea. Now we got that done. Matt Black from WrestleZone, Phil Stamper from Pro Wrestling Revolver, Maryland Championship Wrestling, and, well, he's the president of wrestling, so
El
whatever else the
presidente de la
hell he
lucha.
wants.
There you go.
There you go. Jose Vellante. I'm Mark Hoke here on the Mark Hoke Show. We are having a great time breaking it all down for you in the world of pro wrestling. And, well, that's what we do. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
1015 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
And let's get back to all the pro wrestling news and entertainment you can possibly handle here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. We're KDAWN's #1 live rated show. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
We're on a Sunday morning, too.
That's awesome.
We rule.
There we go.
That's because we have great guests and...
It's because you have me on the show. That's why.
No, it's
you have
not.
a little bit of Latin fever here.
Let's face it.
No,
I
I'm just
mean,
kidding.
it's totally him.
See, I love Phil, man. We got to get Phil back every week. Look at that. Love it.
We got to get... No, what we got to do is we got to get everybody together in Vegas. I think
In
Memorial...
the studio, that'd be dope.
I think Memorial Day
Let's go.
weekend is a great time to do it.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
You
I'm
guys
down
all,
for that.
we got to just get everybody here, fly out, and just party it up, man. That's what we got to do. But we are the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, Odyssey app, and of course we do live stream this show as well on YouTube, Facebook, and maybe we'll try doing X again sometime, but whatever, it's all good.
Phil's got a fan here.
Yeah.
Yay, Phil.
And he's falling over too.
He's falling over for you, buddy.
I dropped my glasses case, and I was like, I got to do this like nonchalantly.
Well, you failed at that, Phil Stamper.
I totally did.
I just
Good thing we're on the radio.
Phil Stamper joining us, and of course Matt Black from WrestleZone, one of the great information sites on the web. You make sure you got to check that out. He does unbelievable work, and he's usually very happy. Oh, you do,
and thank you for the follow back, man. I greatly appreciate you, my guy.
God,
Not a problem, man.
You're following Jose?
Hey, I gotta follow
He
everybody.
followed me during the break. I followed him back.
All right.
Gotta show some love there. Come on.
Fair enough. Well, let's talk about the Rumble last night. And I'll start with the women's match. Matt, I'll start with you. Your impressions of the women's match. Of course, Bayley takes it home. But is she really going to challenge Rhea? I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
Nope.
I think Io's going to get a taste of Bayley here coming up.
Yep. No, I absolutely believe we're going Bayley, Rhea, and Becky, Rhea at WrestleMania. I think those are the matches. I think Bayley's going to be pushed to her limits with how Damage Control's treating her, and she's going to strike while the iron's hot. And I think Bayley's going to be a monster babyface going into WrestleMania 40.
Sounds like a plan. What else stood out to you in that match last night?
I mean, for full disclosure, I was watching the match, but I was also covering AEW Collision for WrestleZone at the same time. So I was multitasking. So I didn't get to see everything out of the women's match and the four-way that I probably would have liked to see. I saw everything after Collision was over. My favorite part of the women's Rumble was Jordynne Grace.
Nice.
Oh.
Like, I knew yesterday afternoon that she was coming in. Mike Johnson for PW Insider broke that news. And I was just like, man, that's so freaking awesome. and she had a great showing. They were not holding back on referring to her as TNA Knockouts champion.
Yeah.
They mentioned TNA several times. When Naomi returned, they mentioned that she was over there in TNA. Like, I believe that there is some kind of forming relationship between TNA and WWE. And especially since the TNA Plus streaming service is handled by Endeavor.
Right.
And Endeavor owns WWE. I think it's going to be a slow and steady process, but I think we're going to see a lot more working relationship and partnership between WWE and TNA throughout 2024.
Chris Ring chimes in on Facebook letting us know, saying, very cool having Jordynne Grace in the Rumble. Yes, it definitely was. I agree with that.
And Phil, I saw you clapping there when that name came up. I guess you were pretty excited too.
So I earlier in the day, I had started to see people just talk about spoilers in general, not saying anything specific. And I was like, I'm avoiding. I'm not going to look at anything. And it was funny because I was around some people this week, and there were like hints of things, and I didn't really know. So when she came out, I was like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. So I was just so happy to see her. I think she is the right representative for TNA. I think she fit right into that battle royal, or excuse me, the Royal Rumble. So very, very happy to see Jordynne there.
Yeah, I was too. And just coming off her being here for TNA for Hard to Kill and the Snake Eyes TV tapings, she has come such a long way. And for her to get that opportunity, she belonged. She really did. This wasn't just kind of a throwaway. She went out there and just looked phenomenal, looked the part, and I was so impressed. And you could tell that she knew this was her big chance. And for her to go out there and shine like she did, and it's unbelievable that for the most part, I think that's what a lot of people are talking about with her and Jade Cargill. Is unbelievable to me that this actually happened. But it's a new regime, it's a new time, and very happy for Jordynne.
So something that was just said though, I'm feeling a little bit about where would Jade go into WrestleMania. Is Jade going to be shotgunned right into a title match? I think everything Matt just said is true. I think all that's happening, but part of my brain is like, and then is it also Jade in a three-way in one of the two women's championship matches? I don't know.
I think it's Jade against Bianca Belair.
Okay.
I think they set that up in the Rumble last night with the stare down and everything. Mark Henry's two proteges going at it at WrestleMania. I think that makes the most sense, and I think that's the match we're going to get. I could be wrong. I mean, they might even throw Naomi in there, make it a triple threat, because you can't bring Naomi in after everything she did in TNA and not give her a big WrestleMania match, and to throw her back in a tag team of some sorts after the way she left the last time does not seem like a good idea.
Right.
So maybe they let those three women triple threat. But WWE has they have a good problem right now with all the talent they have in their women's division, because there's a lot of people who just rightfully deserve a spot at WrestleMania, and they're going to have to figure out how all the puzzle pieces fit.
See, I think they've got to be careful with Jade. I don't know if she's quite ready for that match yet.
Well, there's a reason she's been working for months in the Performance Center. Right.
And I think that there's some people on the roster that you could give her a shot. But, man, I think they've got to watch it and not shoot her up the ladder too fast. Now, if they're watching her and they think she's ready to do it, then, by all means. But I would be really careful, because the last thing you want to do is put her out there in a situation that she's not going to succeed, and then everybody's like, oh, she's not that good, and then you ruin it. So, that's up to the pros to decide. That's not me, but I would watch it before you start putting her in a ring with Bianca Belair and saying go for it. So that's just me.
I gotta believe with the amount of work that she's putting in at the Performance Center, by WrestleMania she should be ready to have a good match with Bianca Belair. And maybe I'm wrong. And look, if you're worried about her, a triple threat makes all the more sense, because she doesn't have to do as much in a triple threat. she could dive out and lay out in certain points in the match and let Naomi and Bianca, do their thing. So I think she's going to be in a showcase match at WrestleMania. I just don't know for sure how much confidence they have in her, like you said. So I guess we'll find out in less than 2 months.
I guess we will. Let's talk about the men's Royal Rumble match. And Cody was not the betting favorite, and I wish I would have put some money on him because he was a plus 250. Man, that was $1.50 for every dollar you could have put down on that. CM Punk was the favorite, but Cody walks out and is immediately pointing to Roman Reigns, screaming he's coming for him. Guys, were you surprised at all that Cody actually did win this thing? Let me go to Phil first on that.
Mixed. In my brain, I was like, it's going to come down to Cody and CM Punk. And then so there was part of my brain that was like, we got all the way through the Rumble to get CM Punk and Cody. And I'm like, okay, all right, this was exactly as I thought it was. And it was weird because I felt, I don't want to say let down because they're two of the best, best talents in the world. But at the same time, it was like, I guess because in my brain, I knew, or I felt like that's what was going to happen. And then it ended up happening. I was like, oh, this was a little too on the nose for me. Here's a question I'll ask all of you because I don't know. And I'll freely admit that I think I watch wrestling a lot more via Twitter than I do, like, actually when it's broadcasted. Does Cody still have the same steam he had a year ago? Is there still that force and momentum behind him that makes people that interested in him? I'm not saying anything bad about the talent and the ability of a Cody Rhodes. It's just I feel that energy just isn't at that same place going into Mania.
Yeah, I think there is. I think people are still behind him, and having been at WrestleMania last year, there was just such a sense of what just happened to this guy. And so many people were disappointed and felt like, man, when is Cody going to get this chance? And, the series with Lesnar and everything else, I think everybody was just like, what are they going to do to keep this going? And, when's he going to get his chance again? And when you're out around the fans, I think people are just like, man, we want Cody to win this. I just feel like there's a sense of, let's get this done. Let's get him on top. He's worked so hard, and people just love the guy. And it's, it's not like everybody was running around like Hulkamania or anything, but there's just a real feel of this man should be the world champion, and let's give it to him.
I'm okay with it. I'm glad that he won, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think it's such bad publicity or stories like some people are saying. The only thing that I will say about the whole Rumble in general, guys, I don't know how you feel about it. At least for me, growing up watching it, it was always about the excitement of what's going to happen next, of who's going to come out, or if they're going to be an old school legend or someone that's super popular. And I'm sorry, that just was not there last night. There was no excitement. The whole Pat McAfee thing, I love Pat. That was a wasted spot that could have gone to another WWE superstar that's trying to get that rise and that notoriety, and you didn't do that. Very wasted. I get it. It was funny. You try to do that. But overall, you didn't hear the excitement from the announcers like it was when I was growing up, at least. Oh, my God, it's so-and-so. Oh, my God, it's this person. That just wasn't there. And then to have Ricochet at number 28, I think Andrade would have been a lot better in that situation than Ricochet. But again, that's just me. I thought it was a good match. I was texting Mark back and forth. I told him Cody's going to go to the end. Cody's going to win it when they had the final four. So it was towards the end. But still, I'm okay with the ending. It sets up the Roman Reigns thing. I think Cody will end up finally close the chapter, get his belt. And then it also sets up the CM Punk, Seth Rollins situation. So I don't know. That's how I felt about the Rumble itself.
Matt, what'd you think?
I was thrilled that Cody won because let's face it, the overlooming shadow of The Rock has been prevalent for weeks now. And reports are coming out this morning that they still plan to do Rock versus Roman Reigns at some point this year. And to me, at this point, there's only three logical spots. One, Roman works both nights of WrestleMania 40. Two, they do it at SummerSlam. Or three, they do it in Saudi. And that's my least favorite of the three options. But if they're still planning to do Rock and Roman this year, they need. That's pretty much it. Like they're not doing it anywhere besides WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or a show in Saudi. because at this point, I don't think there's enough time to build to him and Roman at Elimination Chamber. And reports are suggesting Roman's not even going over to Australia for Elimination Chamber. So, yeah, they're running out of spots. But no, I'm thrilled for Cody. I think Cody has just as much momentum now as he did going into WrestleMania 39, and I think that'll be very evident on TV over the next 2 months. The one thing WWE needs to be very cautious of is they can't get cute again. Cody needs to win at WrestleMania 40, because if he loses again in the same fashion he lost last year, that's when he's going to lose his steam. That's when he's going to lose his momentum, and they're going to kill the golden goose. WWE has their new John Cena right now in Cody Rhodes. And the difference between Cody Rhodes now and John Cena in his prime is John Cena divided the audience. Cody doesn't have that divide right now. Everybody loves Cody. As long as they don't screw this up, they have gold on their hands for the next several years. So WrestleMania 40, it's go time for Cody. It's time to finish the story. And I just hope to God they don't screw it up.
Yeah,
when has the WWE screwed up anything?
Until Triple H comes out and pedigrees him, you know.
Oh.
And something. Okay, so something you all said. So about about bringing back older roster members, and I was thinking about that too. But at the same time, so as before I came on the air in the correct time I was supposed to be, you all were knocking on the Repo Man. If Repo Man walked out through that curtain, I would have lost my mind. Like I really honestly would have been like, oh my God, it's the Repo Man. Like I would have been all for it.
Barry's awesome. I can't. I just picked the name.
Awesome.
I picked the name. I'm sorry.
I even thought legit because so there was a clip that got shared around, I guess from the Pat McAfee show, that Paul Heyman was on, and it starts with Backlund, Bob Backlund, and it's like I guess they somehow brought up Bob Backlund could be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, and so I really thought like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get Bob Backlund in the Royal Rumble. I agree with the Pat McAfees. I wanted more because in my brain too. Here's a guy who competed in War Games for you, and now like he's like, oh, I'm afraid to like touch the ropes. Like I what? I
34 seconds. 34 seconds.
I mean, yes, I know Omos is in the ring, Pat, but you didn't need to go after Omos. There were other people in there that you could have went in and, stomped on somebody who was laying in a corner or something. I love Pat, and everybody that was watching the pay-per-view with me last night laughed. Like, everybody in my living room thought the Pat McAfee spot was hysterical, and it was entertaining, but they definitely could have done more with him than they did. And I also think the commentators' overall enthusiasm in the crowd until the end was down because you took a 4-match card and made it 4 hours. You can't do that.
Yeah,
that's too long of a. When you do a 4-hour show, you better have like 8 to 10 matches on that damn thing, so you can pace it properly. 4 matches in 4 hours? You're out of your damn mind, Triple H. What are you doing?
Oh, man.
I do like the fact that the Royal Rumble is 90 seconds. Like, a minute is way too fast because the stuff that you're thinking you're going to plan it never works out when it's just a minute. When it's 2 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, what are we doing next? Like, I thought 90 was the right number. Even when they fudged it at times, I thought it really was the right number.
I like the whole R-Truth. The whole little sprinkle that they had with him. That was hilarious. You got to admit. Yeah. When he was walking in at first, well, welcome to WrestleMania, guys. Like, is he, you know what I mean? He's just being him, bro. You know what I mean? It's awesome, dude. I love it.
That man is a national treasure. But we've got 4 guys for an hour's worth of our show here, and we got to take a break.
Oh, man.
Phil Stamper, Matt Black from WrestleZone, Jose Vellante. I'm Mark Hoke. Having a great time here on the Mark Hoke Show. We're going to come back and wrap this thing up, having a blast here. God, I wish we could just preempt a bunch of shows. I mean, I could, but I'd get in a lot of trouble. So stick around for more here on the Mark Hoke Show, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. We'll be right back.
101.5 FM, KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's do this one more time to wrap this thing up. On KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas, Odyssey app, and streaming on the YouTube and Facebook. The Mark Hoke Show, best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Jose Vellante along for the ride, plus our very special guest, Phil Stamper.
Hey, everybody.
And Matt Black.
And Matt Black from WrestleZone.com.
So, really quick, I didn't realize Matt's also from Maryland. So for Memorial Day, why don't all of you come to this coast?
Oh, come on.
We have water.
Oh. So do we, just not that much of it.
Right.
Well, I am from out that way. You know that, right?
I think I did at one point, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, I from every indication, there's going to be some stuff going on here. From a certain wrestling. Matt, don't be bitter.
Fair.
Don't be bitter.
Mark, you guys are so bad. I do have to do one thing before we close out the show, though, because I've done it with a couple past guests. I got to give Matt a big shout out for his background. I'm sorry, Phil, yours is just black, but everything you got in the background is amazing. I gave Chris Van Fleet last time when we had him on some kudos for his plaques and stuff, but, bro, the figures behind you, it's just top notch, man. Top notch. Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I like to have a nice background when I do stuff like this. So
I like Phil. Phil's got a good setup
He's got
back
a little
there.
gamer chair and everything. I get it, but Phil.
I used to have a green screen because
okay.
through the video app we use StreamYard, but I can never get the graphics to fit right for what StreamYard uses.
Makes
so I need a different arrangement to be able to do something like Matt. Because it's funny because I have a desk with stuff and I'm like, oh, I want to put stuff like the Revolver tag title on it. Like I want to do I have Funkos that are all on my wall. I have every sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who on my desk. I need a better way to organize.
Yes.
Organized stuff.
See what I started?
Oh, my God. Oh, that's
and maybe my
great.
glasses won't fall down because there'll be room on my desk actually to put stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we won't see this anymore.
Right.
What's Jose doing over there?
No one will see this.
Oh, that's great. You guys are unbelievable.
Oh,
just to run down through the chat box real fast, and then I want to give you guys a chance to hype everything going on. But just some comments in there. Marie said they need to keep the bloodline away from the ring. You know, I think Brandy and I think Dustin should show up too.
Dustin ain't happening.
He's still under contract. I don't know. I think they should loan him away.
I think he's under contract until September. I believe it's much later this year. Well, I could see Tony letting him sit front row and not having an issue with that, but I couldn't see them letting him get physically involved. I just don't see it.
Buy him out. for that, yeah, come on.
I think he's very happy where he is right now.
Oh, yeah, of course he is. I don't blame him. Sports Illustrated put out the article, Cody not being in the Mania match, so they could put a big bet on Cody. That's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but yeah.
Everything's a conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy.
In wrestling, everything's a conspiracy. That's right. That's right.
How about this one, guys? Mark also, Gamer Bear, this was earlier when you guys were talking about TNA and everything. He says, mentioning TNA by name like this is very unusual for WWE, so something seems to be up. You guys agree?
Well, it's not, it's unusual, but it's not like they have never done it. I mean, Dixie Carter did a little segment, what was it, for AJ Styles, I think, a couple years ago. So, it's not outside of the realm of mentioning other things. And they've mentioned... Go ahead.
I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of this with Vince gone.
Yeah.
Mentions of New Japan, mentions of TNA. I don't think they're going to go out of their way to mention AEW, but I think any company that they're willing to work with, I think they're going to acknowledge their existence now. I think the wrestling world is bigger now without Vince McMahon in it, because WWE is going to acknowledge that they're not the only game on this planet any longer. And I think that's a great thing for the industry as a whole.
All right. And I got about 30 seconds for each of you. So, Phil, tell everybody what you've got going on and tell them about this Emmy real fast. What's going on with that?
So Emmy winner Paul Walter Hauser, in the middle of his acceptance speech, talked about a match that he's going to have with Matt Cardona at Wrestling Revolver on March 18th in Iowa. Wrestling Revolver just had Mox versus Gringo available on Triller TV. Make sure you check that out. And Revolver returns on February 17th to Dallas. I think I said the wrong date. So it's February 17th in Dallas, March 16th in Iowa, March 28th, we're back in Dayton, Ohio, and April 4th, we're WrestleMania weekend, will be in Philadelphia.
All right. And Matt, what do you guys have going on at WrestleZone?
Just trying to get all the news and backstage tidbits and interviews and stuff out there. I interviewed Brian Williams and Lionel Jinx from 2K for WWE 2K24 last week. I also interviewed AEW World Heavyweight Champion Samoa Joe, talking about his match with Hook, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Twisted Metal Season 2, all that good stuff. It's all on WrestleZone.com.
Perfect. And I'm going to be sending you my Claudio interview, so you got more work to do.
There you go.
All right.
Sounds good.
Guys, awesome show today.
Appreciate you guys.
Wow, we have a blast. Thanks to Claudio Castagnoli. Thank you, Phil Stamper, Matt Black, and Jose L. Thank you, too. You're all right. So, guys.
Poor Jose.
Jose, you're my reason for being here.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Presidente in the building.
Thank you, everybody out there, for listening to the show wherever you are. We do appreciate it. We will see you next week. Follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show. Subscribe to us on YouTube. That really helps us out a lot. We would certainly appreciate it. And that's The Mark Hoke Show, too. MarkHokeShow.com. That's pretty much where you find us. We'll see you next week, 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific time on KDAWN, 101.5 FM and the Odyssey app. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody.
See you.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit MarkHokeShow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.